LA This Week. Angelenos throw their full support behind efforts to build housing for people who are homeless and low income. A massive gas leak displaces thousands of families and prompts major changes at one of LA's biggest utilities. And higher education is now within reach for thousands of low-income students thanks to a new program. All these stories and more coming up in our Year in Review. Hello and welcome to LA This Week. Thanks for joining us on our special Year in Review episode. I'm Yana Kay. Well, LA made some historic news this year. A massive gas spill, a sweeping bill that puts more money in the pockets of the poorest working Angelenos, and a landmark vote that could take more people who are homeless off the streets. Ana Marcos highlights these and other top stories that made headlines in 2016.
A victory for city leaders in the fight to end homelessness after LA voters said yes to Proposition HHH, the city measure that will build more than $1 billion worth of housing for the homeless in the next 30 years. Homeowners will foot the bill, paying an average of $50 in new taxes each year. That's good news for people who are homeless.
Almost 10 years ago, I was homeless. I have been homeless most of my life, drug addict, prostitute, all that ugly stuff. I'm proud to say that by having housing, my life has given me purpose. I never knew I suffered from mental illness.
The measure will also provide support services like mental health counseling for the homeless and will build some affordable housing as well. And earlier this year, city leaders called for a record $138 million from city coffers to support the homeless, while state leaders announced H.R. 56. It declares a state of emergency on homelessness in California.
And the homeless have changed. We're not talking about just individuals now. We're talking about families. We're talking about little kids. This morning we were driving around my district in Skid Row, and there are little kids out there hungry without a home. This is inexcusable.
Homelessness spiked by 6% in LA in the past year. According to a census survey, about 48,000 homeless residents live in LA County.
We've got this plume of gas with toxic chemicals spewing into the northwest San Fernando Valley.
And in the north part of the city, San Fernando Valley residents saw what many say was the worst methane leak in U.S. history. The Aliso Canyon storage facility in Porter Ranch set off a 4-month nightmare that spewed tons of methane into the air and forced thousands of residents to evacuate. Many suffered health problems, headaches, vomiting, and nausea. The well was finally shut down months later in February, but long-term effects of the spill are still not known. Many have called for the shutdown of the entire facility.
This is a critical problem. This is a mini Chernobyl. This is a problem.
How can you breathe in motor oil and think that that's okay?
On a brighter note, LA minimum wage earners in LA got 50 cents an hour richer this year as the first phase of LA's sweeping minimum wage law went into effect in July. City leaders are determined to push away from poverty wages to a more livable income for poor working Angelenos. The plan will continue to increase wages in the coming years until the minimum wage reaches $15 an hour in 2020. The state of California and LA County also created their own minimum wage hike measures. And for the second time in several years, a chunk of NASA's spacecraft history has landed in LA. Last May, ET-94, a part of the Space Shuttle Columbia, made its way through LA's streets as thousands of spectators watched.
It's just awesome to see something this size, and the fact that we have it here in Los Angeles to experience. It's part of history.
I think it looks like a Twinkie.
We're privileged to get this in LA, and it's going to inspire a lot of the kids to go into science.
ET-94 will make its home at the California Science Center near USC. It will eventually go on display once the Science Center builds the complete full-stack shuttle exhibit. I'm Ana Marcos for LA This Week's Year in Review.
As a result of a settlement between SoCalGas and LA County prosecutors, the utility was required to install and maintain an infrared methane monitoring system at Aliso Canyon and adopt new operating procedures. Well, as you just saw, new affordable housing units are slated to go up in the new year thanks to Prop HHH. But Los Angeles has already made a big dent in the housing crisis. Several groundbreakings took place across the city in 2016 as city leaders work to make sure every Angelino has a home to call their own.
City leaders broke ground in Koreatown for the future Median Apartments, a complex of 100 affordable units for low-income residents. With options of a studio, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom apartments, they'll also have access to a computer lab, courtyards, parking, and social services.
With the homeless count increasing every day, and I think if you just go around the corner, you'll see all the tents that are there. That really affordable housing is something that is so critical.
A 2-bedroom apartment will go for as low as $560 a month for those with the lowest qualifying income, about $17,000 a year, while a studio apartment will go for as low as $435.
It's a working community. It's really workforce housing that we're providing here.
And then across town in North Hollywood, 50 units of permanent supportive housing are being created. The campus housing complex will include job placement, health, and addiction services on site.
We purchased this old motel in the early 80s. Next week, we're tearing it down to rebuild in its place a comprehensive service center, the campus at LA Family Housing, that will bring new housing, a new primary health care clinic.
At the same time, city leaders are encouraging the community to be open-minded as they see more of these complexes popping up in their neighborhoods.
This is not only a Council District 6 issue, it's all of our issue. We need to ensure that every part of our city has the resources and the ability to help everyone who finds themselves homeless.
The campus is expected to open in late 2017. And over in Westlake, Mosaic Gardens at Westlake will soon be home to more than 100 lucky tenants, including seniors, the working poor, and the chronically homeless.
It's really hard to find the words to express that this development will have such an impact on the lives of these various populations. I think we're creating hope for people who've had a hard life.
It will house 125 units, more than half of them reserved for the chronically homeless. City leaders say in this section of the Westlake District, the apartment availability rate is low, at just 2.7%. Making matters worse, rents for these scarce bedroom apartments have surged in recent years. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
He's gone, but not forgotten. This year, the City of LA family lost a beloved member, known for his big spirit, gregariousness, and determination to live life and lead the city on his own terms. Ana Marcos has more on the life of the late council member for the 11th District, Bill Rosendahl.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bell swing and jingle bell ring.
Christmas carols may be the norm this time of year, but back in April, the Yuletide celebration in the middle of spring, with a transgender choir no less, seemed a bit out of the norm. It wasn't once you knew it was a celebration of the life of late councilmember Bill Rosendahl and all his favorite things. Among them, yes, Christmas carols, and oh yeah, chickens and fresh eggs. From his first day as council member for the 11th District in 2005 to his last day in council chambers in 2013, when he struggled to walk as his cancer progressed, Bill Rosendahl was known for his bigger-than-life persona and his can-do attitude.
Great, 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 great.
Rosendahl became LA's first openly gay council member in 2005. He was a huge supporter of LGBT rights and helped create LA's first LGBT Heritage Month.
Our nature is our nature. We don't determine our nature. Either we accept ourselves or we don't.
Some of his other passions, increasing mass transit, modernizing LAX, and finding greener ways to get around. And if there was a human rights cause, Rosendahl was ready to fight. For veteran services, for affordable housing, or helping the homeless. Rosendahl was an earth lover in word and in practice. He died at home on March 30th after a long bout with cancer, surrounded by family and friends, with the sounds of his beloved chickens and the fresh breeze outside his window.
Nobody is magic. We are together magic. And as a group, we can make a huge difference.
His memorial at Santa Monica Catholic Church, like him, was bigger than life, attracting members from every corner of the community.
I mean, you could go to Billy's house and see a billionaire and a homeless person there and Billy holding court.
It is great.
This former Vietnam vet, cable TV producer, Bobby Kennedy presidential campaigner, and 8-year LA City Council member, a part of history in his own right, passed at the age of 70. I'm Anna Margos for LA This Week's Year in Review.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Rosendahl.
In 2016, we, the voters, firmly invested in transportation, approving $120 billion in improvements that will dot our landscape well into the future. But even before the measure was approved, a number of significant metro projects were completed this year, connecting all of us by rail, bike, and bus. Gil Reyes takes a look back.
One of LA's biggest election stories of 2016 was without a doubt the passage of Measure M. LA voters overwhelmingly approved raising their own taxes to fund 40 years of transportation improvements.
This is the boldest, most comprehensive transportation investment initiative in North America.
Measure M imposes a half-cent sales tax increase with no end date. That's money to expand rail, bus, and bicycle infrastructure. Some 40 transportation projects over 4 decades. This will include new transit options to and from LAX, also biking and pedestrian corridors linking rail stations to rivers and parks.
A new, enormous plan for transit for LA County.
This will be transformative for the Valley. It was for the first time, as Supervisor Sheila Kuehl said, where the Valley will be getting its fair share of much deserved money for transportation.
Sherman Oaks Councilmember David Rue recalling how LA's last transportation tax failed to truly serve the San Fernando Valley. Rue says not this time. One plan, a rail tunnel through the Sepulveda Pass, is expected to link the San Fernando Valley to the west side, greatly reducing traffic on the 405 freeway. 2016 also saw a number of metro projects either moving forward or completed, one by the beach.
We've been waiting a long time, and it's awesome.
The Expo line finally reached Santa Monica. Not since the 1950s has LA rail service stopped this close to the ocean.
We're really excited. My wife and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so we watched the start of BART being produced, and now we're watching Santa Monica get what we had. So it's very, very exciting.
And in the other direction, the Metro Gold Line extended more than 11 miles east to serve the San Gabriel Valley.
So today, Arcadia, Monrovia, Duarte, Urbandale, and Azusa join Metro's transit revolution. That's why we're here today.
Onboard buses, a new service from North Hollywood Red Line Station to Pasadena opened, shuttling bus riders to and from on the cheap. Hop aboard Express Line 501.
The buses are new. It's easy. Use your tap card, and the transfers make it quite inexpensive.
Just $2.50 per bus trip, with all transfers free. And getting around downtown got easier and healthier with the launch of Metro's bike share program this past year. Councilman Jose Huizar tried it out.
I think we're at that tipping point in the city of LA where, for a long time it was so car-centric. Now we're promoting more alternative forms of transportation, more light rail, more bikes, more pedestrian activity in our streets. And that's a good thing for the environment, it's a good thing for our health, it's a good thing all around to alleviate our roads.
The beauty is you can rent at one downtown kiosk and return at any other 24 hours a day. There are more than 60 downtown rental kiosks to choose from. Those are just some of our top transportation stories for 2016. For LA This Week, I'm Gil Reyes.
Measure M is expected to generate $860 million in 2017. The half-cent sales tax will be implemented beginning January 1st. As we look forward to new transportation projects in the new year, we also bid a bittersweet farewell to an iconic landmark that not only bridged the gap between so many of us, but also put LA on the map. Rasha Goel has more.
City leaders made peace this past year with losing a historic landmark as they approved the demolition of the iconic 6th Street Bridge. The old bridge is being replaced with a newer, safer bridge.
The 6th Street Bridge, the 6th Street Viaduct, it is history. And unfortunately, it's sick, so we have to replace that bridge.
The 6th Street Bridge, located in the historic neighborhood of Goel Heights on the east side, has served as a backdrop for many Hollywood movies. You might recall seeing it in Grease, Mask, Terminator 2, and The Dark Knight Rises. And many have seen it as more than just a link between downtown and the east side.
Really, our main objective was to bring people back to the river, bring people back to the bridges. Many people we've spoken to over the years didn't even realize there was a river or that these bridges existed.
But people were able to keep a part of the 1932 built bridge as they picked up free souvenirs of the structure. It was first come, first serve on Rock Day LA, where hundreds stood in line to get a piece of downtown history.
My office, along with the Bureau of Engineering, are giving away 1,000 rocks that came from the demolition of the 6th Street Bridge.
What brought me here is for the 6th Street Bridge rock. This is very important to me because I grew up here and I've been on 6th Street Bridge my whole life.
The new 6th Street Bridge is under construction and set to open in 2019. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The nearly $450 million replacement is the largest bridge project in the history of Los Angeles. Well, some things, like bridges, need to be replaced, but other things, like computers, just need a little TLC. This past year, hundreds of families, perhaps yours too, received free refurbished PCs with internet, thanks to an innovative recycling program. Reyes reports on OurCycle LA.
On the corner here?
How can you beat free? You really can't, unless you throw in free Wi-Fi too. Hundreds of LA families received both in 2016.
In many cases, this is their first technology that they're able to bring into their home, first piece of technology.
And you need it, right?
It's almost impossible nowadays to be able to do anything on a day-to-day basis without it.
That's right, free upgraded computers plus 4 free years of internet for families of Budlong Elementary and Dantzler Charter Schools. They can thank the OurCycle LA program. OurCycle takes old city department computers and instead of chucking them, repairs them for families in need. Families in the Rancho San Pedro housing project also received them this past year.
I can't even explain how appreciated I am.
So did kids coming home from Camp Wesson Summer Camp for at-risk youth. Camp Wesson was founded by LA City Council President Herb Wesson.
Being that this is the 10th anniversary, we also decided that it would be a great opportunity to try to do our part to close the digital divide. We all know that if children don't have access to the internet in today's world, they're so far behind everyone else.
The city's Information Technology Agency, or ITA, came up with the OurCycle idea, along with Council President Herb Wesson.
Valley, South LA, East LA, downtown, North LA, we don't care. Angelinos need to get computers, need to get access to the internet so they can get out there and get really good stuff done.
The city hired the nonprofit group Human IT to upgrade the technology with Windows 7 and virus protection, giving the computers new life instead of throwing them away and building up waste in landfills.
I want to let everyone know that this is the way you should be handling your technology when you're done with it, whether you're a business, a municipality, an individual.
The city's General Services Department provided the downtown LA warehouse space to store the computers so they could be repaired later.
We're very, very happy to be a part of this, be a partner with ITA, with the council district, and with the city at large.
Local leaders have plans to expand Wi-Fi in underserved areas.
So right now you can get access to the internet for $15 a month, but we'd love to drive that cost even lower. And we'd love to find really creative ways, working with public libraries and others, to be able to bring internet right to where people are in their homes.
During this OurCycle giveaway in Van Nuys, sponsored by the YMCA, Area Council member Nuri Martinez hoped young people will remember.
Pay it forward. If somebody did something for you today, you say thank you and you never forget this day and you pay it forward when you have the ability to work and be able to be a contributor to this great community that I call Van Nuys. I am so proud to represent this community.
Taking the skills they will learn to serve their communities later. Our series on OurCycle. They're among our favorite stories from 2016. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
OurCycle also gave away computers to families in Reseda, Sherman Oaks, and Studio City. Also, low-income seniors in Jefferson Park. More giveaways are expected in the new year. And those free computers couldn't have come at a better time, as officials this year announced a new program that'll help more students get a college education. Rasha Goel has the details.
Now, we all know college tuition can be expensive and stressful, but through a program called LA College Promise, the first year of tuition is being waived for those students choosing to attend a community college in the LA Unified School District. Crystal Cortez, a high school senior at Hamilton High and one of 6 children in her family, is among those in the program. She is hopeful and relieved about her college career thanks to the launch of the LA College Promise.
This program gives me the opportunity to be able to go to school full time, and I don't have to juggle work and school and taking care of my siblings as well.
No longer will our students have to worry about the financial burdens of what to do about college. They can focus on their education, they'll be welcomed in, they will have a seat in a community college in LA.
9 Los Angeles Community College District schools are part of the program. LA College Promise was inspired by America's College Promise, a national campaign spearheaded by President Barack Obama and chaired by Jill Biden, the wife of Vice President Joe Biden, to make community college free.
This is the promise that you can define your own future without having to worry about being burdened by decades of debt. That you can focus on school rather than having to juggle multiple jobs. And ultimately, we use the word promise because that's what we see in all of you.
Eligible applicants for free tuition must be part of the 2017 class of graduates at LAUSD schools and qualify for in-state resident tuition. They will also need to complete their FAFSA or California DREAM Act applications.
My main focus with this opportunity, I will only focus on school and myself to make sure my career is fully fulfilled.
A commitment for a promising future. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
For more on the program, visit lacollegepromise.org. Well, also this past year, we got up close and personal with the LAPD volunteer reserves and the drive to boost diversity within their ranks. The reserve program allows people with regular jobs to fulfill a secret desire to protect and to serve. Gil Reyes has more.
Following recent upticks in crime, the LAPD spent 2016 trying to recruit more volunteer reserve officers, courting the West Side's Jewish community like never before.
You have the La Brea area, you have the Pico Robertson area, where you just have a very established, large community with dozens of temples. And this was a good opportunity to get them involved where they, until right now, they could not get involved.
Until 2016, practicing Orthodox Jews could not volunteer for the reserves. That's because weekend training days fell on Saturdays or the Sabbath, the Jewish holy day. So the LAPD switched training days to Sundays to accommodate LA's first all-Jewish Reserve Academy class.
And so we're going to change that so we can embrace the entire community of Los Angeles and get a very, very significant increase in our reserves.
Reservists are non-paid, part-time, sworn officers and must volunteer at least 16 hours a month. One of them invited LA This Week to visit him at his regular job. Meet reservist Sammy Sue, mild-mannered computer guy by day, armed and ready lawman by night. Growing up, Sue says he always wanted to be a full-time cop, but his parents disapproved.
I'm Asian. A lot of Asian communities, generally they don't necessarily see or they don't necessarily encourage their kids to become police officers. Everybody wants them to become an attorney or a doctor. So that was never actually presented to me as a career path. When I first told my parents about joining the reserve program, they're like, why do you want to do that? The great thing about it is you've already established yourself in a certain career, but yet you're able to volunteer and participate as a police officer as well and give back to the community.
You're able to build trust in your communities as well. With so much happening in the nation and so much criticism in law enforcement, as reserve officers, I think we are in a special place to build that trust with our communities.
By the way, Sammy Sue's parents now approve of his decision to join the force as a volunteer. And the LA Police Reserve Foundation honored the best of the bunch at their Twice a Citizen award ceremony in Hollywood.
Realize that they have the exact same training as a regular police officer, but they volunteer their time and they put their lives on the line to help protect the city that we all love.
Most of the reserves work hard, they spend a lot of hours, and there's no pay, so you do it out of the love of the job.
Reservist Michael Hagan, a retired full-time officer, was honored as Reserve Officer of the Year in his category. Also honored, actors Kent McCord and the late Martin Milner. The actors portrayed buddy cops on the classic TV drama Adam 12, influencing many young viewers to join the force. And LAPD Chief Charlie Beck received this year's Friedman Award for his ongoing support of the Reserve program. The chief began his career more than 40 years ago as a reserve officer himself. Our stories on the LAPD's valiant volunteers, among our favorites for the year 2016. For LA This Week, I'm Gil Reyes.
While the LAPD has more than 420 reserve officers, the goal is 1,000. Want to serve? Log on to lapdonline.org to learn more. Well, that's going to do it for our special 2016 Year in Review edition. I'm Yana Kane from all of us here at LA This Week and Channel 35. Thank you for your continued support. We hope to bring you more important stories in the new year. And as always, we'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.